much. There we go. Well, this is Sips and Systems, the coffee chat. And like I said, this is about really focused on non-public. If you're a public district, you're welcome to listen, but it's going to be real focused on non-public reporting and the things that the non-public have to do with staff reporting. Um, my name is Stacy Pauling. I'm with the Nebraska Department of Education, and me and Kim have determined that I have been here for 2 years, and Kim Powell is another Nebraska department. We both are at the service desk, and she's my partner in crime, and she's been here 2 years. So if you were here previously listening to us, we just determined that we are 1 week apart. So we are going through it together. Anyway, so we're going to talk about staff reporting, which a lot of people have already probably been working hard on, and we thought this would be a good time to talk about 101, kind of what the staff reporting is for and why, what we do with it, and things like that, to kind of give you an overview. We are hoping that you will ask questions. We do have a little agenda. Let me get on the right. There we go. We have a little agenda, so we are very appreciative of you all joining us. We're going to have a tiny little introduction to staff reporting, and then I hope that you guys brought some questions that you're like, we did this, but I don't know why we did this. Trying not to get very specific into staff information for a specific, I guess what I'm saying is this is being recorded, so we don't want to do like give names or IDs or things like that because of confidentiality. So if you have questions, we love to answer those. And then if there's no questions, we did put together some helpful information that might stir up some questions. And then we have some resources. And Kim is going to be monitoring the chat. And so she's going, if you have questions while we're presenting or talking, you can put them in the chat and she'll stop me and we'll make sure we get those answered. All right, so the little introduction to staff reporting. It's currently, the collection is in the Legacy NDE portal. And the Legacy portal is the one where you have to have the username and your own specific password to get into. And it's a new collection every school year with a new activation code. So you always have to get a new activation code. It's going to be eventually written into, rewritten and will be in the new portal. And then at that time, when that happens, then you won't need a new activation code. But currently, it's in the Legacy and has to have an activation code. So there's several different dates with the reporting. The statutory deadline is September 15th. So you need to have something in the staff reporting and working on the staff reporting by September 15th. So we get a lot of tickets about that date, and basically that is just when the state says that we have to start working on that and we need information put into the collection. The fall deadline is October 15th, and then it has a window audit that's on October 31st. Now, the window audit, it says close on October 31st. That doesn't mean that the collection closes on October 31st. That means that the NDE is going to start using that data after October 31st. So they're going to start pulling that data and they're going to start utilizing it in a different ways. And we don't have a lot of questions. We have information later in this presentation to show you how NDE uses this data and how it works. So the collection will actually stay open the entire school year. So if you have a staff member that leaves in the middle of the school year, then you can go in and make some changes due to sickness or whatever. So then you would put like an end date for that person, and then you would put the new person that was in. So it stays open so that you can make those changes throughout the school year. And then the final deadline for everything to have all your subs in there and the days worked and all the changes that happened throughout the school year after October 31st need to be completed by June 15th. And then they have that little bit of audit window. But June 30th, after June 30th, it's closed. You can't do anything more in there. You can't get in there anymore to do any more changes. So it will actually close officially, all gone on June 30th. So those are the kind of the dates. Does anybody have like questions that they want to start off with, or any questions about those deadlines? Because I know that those can be kind of confusing. Not really seeing anyone. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of move on. So what do we use the usage of this data? So you've completed it and we put it in. So where does it go? So after October 31st, usually sometime soon, I didn't look today. It gets published. So we take that data out of the extracted out of the staff reporting and we put it on our NDE education directory. If you're not familiar with the directory, I pulled it up here and the the presentation that we're looking at is on the Simpson Systems website. In the attachments, you can download the PowerPoint from today, and it has these links in here. So the Nebraska Education Directory is a place that anybody that can go to this website and they can look up information about the schools. We get a lot of tickets from, what do you want to say, like vendors? I don't know if you want to say vendors. What's the proper word?
Or colleges that are wanting to let
contact
teachers
people.
know, let teachers know they're offering special courses for special endorsement areas, etc.
Yeah, or some fire safety thing wants to contact and they want to promote something or things like that. So this is where we send them, and they can search for staff members. They can search for district information. They can do a quick list. It will give them all the information that they want about the school system and how to contact them. So we send a lot of people to this website. And whoops, there it goes. And the things that it will display, depending on their search criteria, it will show the specific staff member's first and last name. It will show the school name and their number. It will show them their position assignment, so they can do a search and say, I just want to see the teachers, or I just want to see the science teachers, or whatever. They can do very specific. It will show them their FTE, so if they only want to focus on just the full-time people, they can do that. The subject, they can do subject. It shows complete address. Recommend you using the school addresses and the phone numbers and the fax and that shows the county. I show the experiences. It will also show the education that's the staff member has attained. It shows them all that specific, and very importantly, the email addresses. So when the teachers are like, I don't know how they got how they got my email, or how did they find me? Well, a lot of different people go out to this website and they utilize this website to get contact information so that they can share their information with the teachers. And if the teacher teaches multiple subjects, then we recommend in that subject area to put like their main subject, because when they do that search, so if they want information about math, then that should be their one that you put in there. If they also do STEM and they really want information about STEM, then maybe you should put that in there. But that's really kind of how that information is gathered. And then we recommend to use the contact information, the school contact information. I have been on there before where they have put in, like, I've seen personal emails, and I wouldn't recommend that. Another way the information is utilized is the counselor and the library media specialist that's not endorsed. And these are all collections Kim, is this one in the new or the legacy?
I was thinking it's in the new, but I will double check.
Okay. Well, I can pull it up on the splash page.
It's all right.
Pull it.
That's where I'm at right now, and it is. Oh,
Okay,
I
perfect.
apologize. It is in the legacy portal.
Okay. So right now it's in the legacy portal. Um, and so it is typically that data is extracted early in November. And so it's going to be taken soon, if not already, because we are almost to the middle of November. And it's going to reflect staff members that are not currently endorsed in the area. And then it says it's like likely to be launched in the new portal. So it's currently right there, but watch for notification of when this is open, and make sure you note where it's going to be opened at. The next part is the non-public curriculum, and this is gonna information is extracted in December or January. So again, we're taking all this information out of the staff reporting and we're going to extract it into the non-public curriculum, and it's going to be available February. It's a short window. I should have wrote that on here, but um, when an administrator is teaching a course, you'll need to make sure in your staff reporting that you have them down as teaching a course, or they're not going to show up in your non-public curriculum, because the non-public curriculum is only pulling the courses and stuff. So it's where you tell us about the course information. And so we need to make sure that a lot of tickets from last school year, I remember they were like, oh, so and so is not in the non-public curriculum. Why is she missing? Or why is this person missing? It's because they weren't in the staff reporting and they didn't have a teacher assignment. So they need to have a teacher position assignment to be pulled over into this report. And when you do add them to the staff reporting, then it's going to take an overnight process for them to show up in the non-public curriculum. Is there any questions regarding the usage? That's my last slide on that one. Those are the collections that you guys really fill out, and so I wanted to focus on them. Do you have any questions at this time?
I have a question. This is Doug
Yes.
Gold. I'm at Fall City Sacred Heart. And
Uh-huh.
for the counselor, according to Rule 10, clergy can be counted as counselors, but it seems like every year I get a message saying that we're not compliant, and I always have to explain, well, our priests can be coded as counselors according to Rule 10. So I'm wondering how we can get that fixed so that I'm not flagged as being in violation and then have to
Sure.
explain it.
Sure, that is a good one. And I see that Dr. Jean Baptiste has joined us, and maybe he can answer that for us. And
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, I'm sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Hey, so yes, we dealt with that last year, and I believe now within the codes, you should be able to find a code that allows you to input that information. So that way you're not getting flagged on it. I don't have the code in front of me, but yes, we did talk about that last year, and you should be able to input your clergy as your counselor and not get flagged for it this year.
So is that
Go
going to be
ahead,
a
Doug.
different, will that be a different code than what I probably put in for them already?
Yes,
I
it's in the
believe it will
staff
be, yes.
manual.
Okay.
Oh, right there.
Yep, you found it?
Yep. Doug,
'Cause
can you see my screen? Is it being shared?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the one I just put in, I just did a find for clergy, and it pulled up in Appendix B, staff position assignment codes, and there's a 02122, clergy counselor.
We allow one of those courses to just be based.
And this is brand new for this year. I haven't been missing that for years, huh?
Yeah,
No,
no,
this
it's brand
is-
new for this year.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a
I
great
have a
question.
a follow-up
Sure.
question to that. So in order to put the clergy in the staff reporting, do they need to have an NDE number?
Yes.
And they don't have an NDE number because
You have to create one then.
we just create one for them. Okay.
Yes. You just create one for them. Yep. Great questions.
And now my question off that, how do I create a number for a clergy?
Okay. My next topic was NDE staff ID. So we want to go to that and we'll talk about that. So NDE staff ID is the collection where you would go to make IDs. This is where you would go in there and do a search, and maybe it would be better. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very visual. So maybe I can just walk through and show you guys. Let me log into my NDE portal account and let's just do a little walkthrough and pretend to make one, okay? Why can I? Here we go. I'm just gonna sign in over here. There we go. Okay, can everybody see my portal account? Yep, perfect. Okay, so it's a located in the student and staff and SSRS tab. It's in the legacy portal at this moment. Now remember, everything's being rewritten, and this is the plan for this actual application is being rewritten at this moment, but it's getting rewritten into advisor person ID, and it's going to be moving to the new portal. We don't know when that's going to happen, probably in the next year. That will actually take place, but I'm just kind of giving you a heads up on that. But currently it's in the legacy portal. It's the NDE staff ID. And I always recommend that you should do a staff search just because they might be, maybe somebody created one in a previous school system. I'm just going to do a search on myself. And they already have an ID. So I always recommend to start with a staff search. So that way you can see if they had been maybe previously, because they might have worked at another school system and that person, apparently somebody has already created me one. So I have a staff ID. So then you'd be like, oh, okay, this is a person, and you can click on these details. I'm not going to do it right now because I know that my access will show social security numbers, so I'm not for sure what is all in mine. But you would click on it and you can look at the details to make sure, be like, oh yes, this is the same person. You can confirm the date of birth. You can do a quick look up here, but I do recommend to click on the details to confirm the other details, maybe a middle name or whatever. Just to reduce the duplicate IDs, because when you get a duplicate ID, that gets very complicated. So let's say there was not one and it came back empty and said there's no results. Then you would click on this add staff over here, and you would just click on the add staff. And there it goes. And it's going to pull up this tab, and then you just complete everything that's in the star. The social security number is not starred, but at this time, we do recommend to add a social security number if you have it available, just because if that person ever goes and gets a license certificate or gets licensed in any way, the system will be able to match them up and won't create a duplicate ticket. At this time, we're getting a lot of duplicate IDs because they were like maybe a para and they went and got their teaching certificate through all these great opportunities. So they were able to get a teaching certificate. And when they go and apply for the teaching certificate, that system doesn't see the social security number, so it automatically creates a new ID. And then we have duplicate IDs. So we recommend at this time to use the social security number if you have that field available or information available to you when you create it. But the required fields are just the first, middle name, or first name, last name, and date of birth. And I believe when I make updates, I cannot do it unless the gender is completed. So I'd recommend to put the gender in too.
It's
Even though
required.
it's not, I was gonna say, it's not starred, but when I make changes,
It gives you an error if you try to
You-
save it without.
right, right. So that's pretty much how that is created. And then it will go through a system, a little process, take like advisor person ID. If you make IDs for students, it kind of goes through a process to create, does some checks. And then I just search for the student or the person again. That's just the easiest for me, is just to do a search. Kim, did you use the batch search, or how did you do it for your school system when you create
I always entered them individually.
Yep, me too. Me too. I just found that easier, and then I just went back and I searched for them, and then I was able to grab their ID. Do you have any other questions with that, Justin? Nope, good. Okay. So that staff collection, if you don't have access to it, you'll need an activation code, and you need to get that from your administrator. Like I talked about, clicking on the details. Oh, I didn't talk about updating the last name on an account. So let's just not pull my information up, but we went ahead and we searched for my name and we found me. And let's say I changed my last name. Well, then I would click on the details again to get to an edit screen. And in that edit screen, you can update the last name. So just because you have changed the name in staff reporting does not mean that it's changed in the NDE staff ID. So that's two different steps, has to be completed independently from each. So you need a change in name needs to be updated in the NDE staff ID and the staff reporting. Some people don't have access to this ID collection for whatever reason, and they can use the NDE public certification lookup too. So we wanted, now I got a lot of tabs open. Here it is. So this is another place. This is a public place that you can, if you have the person's name or their NDE staff ID or their certificate ID, you can go out here and you can do a search. So this is part of the TEACH program, and your admin probably has the actual admin rights where they can go in and look at information. But as a secretary, maybe I already know her certificate ID and I can just put it in here, and then it will do a search and it will pull up all her certificate information along with her NDE staff ID. So it's another way that you could utilize to find NDE staff ID or staff information. Sometimes we get a ticket and they just give me the certificate ID. So I'll use this website to search for that ID. And then that gives me the person's name and all the other information I need to help with the ticket. And it would tell you if the certificate's in pending status. It will tell you the expiration date. Yeah. I'm trying to think about it. It got endorsements. That's the other thing I'm looking for. It tells you the endorsements. Yep. I'm looking at Kim. And all this information is coming from the TEACH software program. It's just showing you the public information. So that was NDE staff ID. Is there any questions about that? There are some districts that will create NDE staff IDs for all employees, whether they are a bus driver, a janitor, or a superintendent. Like if they're an employee, they just make an NDE staff ID so they have it covered. So it's totally up to you. And some people just make NDE staff IDs for just the people that have to report. So it can be done either way. Okay, so then we're going to go into the actual like staff reporting, um, which is actually a three-step process. It's not just the staff reporting collection. There's three other things that need to be done, or three things that need to be done in the whole process. So we're kind of going to review those. So the first one is the staff reporting collection, which is created every year. There's a new collection, and NDE just auto loads the staff from previous years with majority of the data points. Now there are some data points that are excluded, and that is for you to go in and make those updates. And they're really not, if you don't have a big turnover in your staff, it's a quick, I was a school district for a public district, and we had like 60, 70, I don't, staff members. I went in there and I just did them all manually because I found that that was easier for me. But you can do it manually, or you can do it by a file upload. But do make sure you review the staff demographics and the position assignments. Some things that we get a lot of questions about are substitutes. Now, the substitutes you can put in there as you go. So if you're not for sure if all these subs are going to return, you can put them in, you can remove them and then add them as you go, or you can leave them in there. And then at the end of the school year, you can go in and you can just remove the ones that didn't come that school year, or you can just leave them and they'll just auto-populate for next school year. You just have 0 days worked for them. So that's kind of however you want to handle the subs. The day's work does need to be added by June 30th, because if it's not added, then they won't get their experience. That's how they get their experience, is by the days worked field. So for a teacher to be recertified, they need to have the days worked. And so if you don't report that, then they don't get no credit. Coaches should be reported for the NSAA, but it's not required. So Kim, do you know more about the NSAA? I don't know much about it besides we share that information.
Yeah, and that's basically the reason they recommend they're in there. Now, they're not encouraging you, if it's a teacher that's also a coach, to add that additional assignment to their record in staff reporting. This would be like somebody who's not included in your staff reporting otherwise, but they are a coach.
As a teacher.
Yeah.
An independent coach that just comes and all they do is just coach for your team or for your school.
So that would also be volunteers then that are not, they don't have any type of coaching certification through the NSAA? I've never.
No, I think from my understanding, it's just for the NSAA. So if they don't have any like connection with NSAA, then I wouldn't put them in there.
Yeah, because to have that, they have to have that certificate or whatever it is they get from NSAA where they say that they are. That's my understanding. Isn't that yours, Stacy?
Yes. But Doug, I feel like we need to investigate this a little bit more. So
I do too.
Can you
Because
send
Daco has left us, hasn't he?
No, he's right there.
And he may know off the top of his head.
Do volunteer coaches need to be reported for NSAA? Oh, you're still on mute. You have to click on the Zoom screen. That's what always gets me. There you go.
There we go. I do not have that answer. I can get that answer for you, but my best guess would be yes. If they're a volunteer coach, you still want to have them on there.
Okay.
But I will double check and I'll get that information to you.
So we would need to create a NDE ID for these people, even though they're never in a classroom and they're maybe just a coach's aide, which means that they can't coach a group by themselves, all that. So coaches' aides, assistant coaches that do not teach in our building should all be on there, you're thinking?
We just have to take the PPI and we're talking.
That would be my best guess, but you can see there is it's not required, but my best guess would be probably a good thing to have them on there.
Okay.
Are the recording the coaches, is that something new or has that been out there for a while? Is that-
Last couple years, it's been out there. 1 year it was required, and then now it's kind of moved to more optional. Daco would know more about this, but that's why we clarified with Naomi, and she said it's not required, but it should be reported for NSAAA.
Because I know that a coach who coaches at the high school varsity level needs to have that coaching endorsement. And so that's why I'm assuming that this is why it needs to be recorded. I wouldn't necessarily, in my mind, think that like junior high coaches would have to be recorded, but because varsity level coaches have to have that endorsement, that's probably why it needs to be recorded.
Well, Daco's going to look into all this for us, and hopefully he will have a answer,
Has the multiple grade plans, so I.
and we will let you all know. Okay.
I'll look
I'm
into
gonna-
that today and hopefully I can get a response by the end of the day.
Okay. So we'll have all your guys' emails, and we will just send you a follow-up email with this information. Thank you, Daco.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's see. So then I kind of picked some file tips, because these are the things that personally I struggled with when I was uploading files. So I thought I would share them with you. My number one struggle was, I don't know why, but I had a hard time with the file name always had to be perfect, and I had to retrain myself that every year if I did a file upload. After a couple of years, I just stopped because it was just easier for me, I found, to do a manual upload. But if you do a file upload, you need to do two uploads, and the first one has to be the staff demographics, and it has to be very specific in this titling. So where it says those XXs, that's going to be your school number, just the first 5 numbers of your school number, and then you put their underscores, staff underscore, whatever. So it has to be very specific or it won't take it. That's the first thing I always check when we get tickets on file uploads, is the file name. So first you'll want to do the staff demographics. Once that's accepted, then you'll want to do the staff position assignments. Now, if you get errors in one of them, then I recommend for you to go to the Appendix E in the staff reporting.
Application process. So we have
that.
website that walks you through the whole local sub application process. So if you have someone who's a local sub who's wanting to,
Which is the file layout, and I don't know who's on. Somebody's got a radio or something going. I can hear it. Okay, thank you, whoever stopped that. Thank you. So the file layout. So if you have some struggles, I recommend to go to Appendix C for the file layout. It gives very specific information on how it has to be done. The file has to be perfect. If it is not in these formats, then it will not accept it. If there's one cell that's wrong, it's not going to accept it. It has to be absolutely perfect. So that is the first thing I always recommend people to check. Some things that are very common that we see is the date formatting, the school system number. So you got to make sure that you have your appropriate number, and then it just has to be completely perfect. We also want to remind you that uploading a new demographic file is going to delete all the previous position assignments. So once you upload a file, it just deletes all the position assignments, and so you have to make sure you upload that second staff position assignments to update it. Is there any other questions with the staff reporting collection within itself? That's the step one for the non-publics. Okay. So then step 2 is the error. So we have different places for the errors for you to look at. And the staff reporting has, in the staff reporting collection, will have errors itself. So if your school name is in red, that tells us that there's some errors and it needs to be completed. So if your school name is in green, then we're like, okay, good. All the required fields are good and it has been completed. So what we recommend to do is when you're in your collection, if your school name is in red, then click the errors only button. And that will show you just the staff members that are having errors. You can also see that by the staff member's name will be in green or it'll be in red. And we'll tell you which ones. And some of those issues could be they're missing information, the wrong school number. So I just want to say that a lot of non-publics only have one building, but you have 2 school numbers. You have a school number that ends in 000, which is your overall school system. And then you have another school number that ends in like 001, 002. That's your actual specific building in the school system. So you have to make sure that you're using the right school number. And it will error out if you're using a wrong school number. So make sure you look at that. Gender codes, if that one's not right, or invalid position assignment dates. And basically that just means that it's in the wrong format. So for staff reporting, it's the year, month, day. I always have to stop and think about it. Year, month, day. So if it's not in that format, it won't take it. Then after you have your staff reporting, so always make sure that your staff reporting is, those errors are cleaned up first. And then that in your school name is in green. After that, then you need to go to the NSRS validation errors. And this is a separate collection. So if you don't have access to this one, you're going to need to get access to this. It's going to take an activation code. It's a one-time code, so just once you have access to it, you are able to see all the errors every school year. And it will also show you reports, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But this system is going to sync nightly with other systems. So it's going to go back to the staff reporting. It's also going out to teach. It's also going out to all these other different things. And it's going to check and make sure that the information you have put in makes sense. So one of the very common errors that we work on a lot is a 487, which means this teacher is not certified, right? And what happens is a lot, especially this school year, Kim can correct me if I'm wrong, is their duplicate IDs. So they went and they got a teaching certificate. You've already assigned them a ID, and they have taken the opportunity to go get certified as a teacher. And then the teach system doesn't see the social security number. And so it creates a whole nother ID. And so then when you are doing your staff reporting, you're like, we've always used this number. I don't understand. She's got her certificate. I can find it, but it's using it's attached to a completely different ID. So when that happens, please submit a ticket to NDE Service Desk because we need to clean that up. We don't want people to have duplicate IDs. And a lot of them, if it's, we are making the adjustments and we will walk you through on how to fix it or if it needs to be fixed in staff reporting. Sometimes they're mismatched. We talked about that, where they have the same name but completely different birthdays. Like this one was born in 1972 and this one was born in 1985, right? So 2 completely different people, and it's just mismatched IDs. And again, that would have to be fixed in the staff reporting, and we will help you and walk you through that if you need assistance. Another common one is incorrect building number. So the 000 will be used, but that position assignment can't be at a district level or at an overall school system level. And so it's saying, no, this doesn't work. And so then that's where we go to, yes, you only have one building in your school system, but you have to use the building number, not the school system number. Missing emails is very common, and then certification issues also can be a common error. So basically, they're just going through the process. Maybe they have a conditional, maybe the teaching certificates is still in pending status, things like that. And if you ever have any questions, you could always email us at ndservicedesk.org at nebraska.org, and we'll help you through and walk you through those errors. Now, if you change something in staff reporting, it's going to take an overnight sync for an error to be resolved, unless you know how to do the manual sync of it. Where's my portal? Nope. I don't know. Let's see if I'm still signed in. No, I'm not. All right, let's just do this real quick. It times me out so fast. In the new portal, it doesn't time you out so fast, so that's a benefit that I really like. Okay, so when you are in SRS validation, if you want to see an error get reprocessed faster, and some of them you have to wait the overnight. Some of the errors you have to. No matter if you do a manual sync or not, you just have to wait. It's just how the error is set up. But you can click the reprocess errors, and then it will tell you, oh, I wasn't expecting anybody to have information. And it will tell you how to do that. You'll click on the reprocess errors, and then there is another link inside that says reprocess the error. So you got to do like 2 clicks. If you gave yourself plenty of time, you can just wait the overnight. But if you are one of those people that like pushed up against the clock, then you could try the reprocessing of the errors. Is there any questions with this step of reviewing errors? No? Okay. So the next step is step 3 is the reports, and we recommend these specific reports to be looked at. You're going to find that in the report section. I have this pulled up. So verification reports, you're going to go into the staff, and it's going to have this. Now you can change your year here if you wanted to look at past years. So let's say you're completing this school year, but you wanted to know how did we report the student last school year? You can go into this report and you can change the school years and look at a different school year if you'd like. So the ones that we recommend for you guys to look at is the current certification report. And this report includes the current certifications, the endorsements, the levels, and the expiration dates. Then you can also, if you see something you're like, I don't really agree with what it's saying, you could utilize that public certification lookup and see what it says, because that's coming from Teach. And then if you do have questions regarding endorsements and certificates, you can send us a ticket, but we will just be passing them on to the CERT team. So we just recommend to directly email the CERT team, with the NDE certification team, and have them review it, and they'll be able to explain exactly what's going on with their certificate, because that's their department and that's what they work on. So we recommend just to reach out to them directly. The next report that we recommend for you to use is the current personnel report, and this lists all staff, all the staff that you have in that you're reporting, and it includes their demographic and their position assignments. It's also going to reflect if you have a staff member that is actually out of ESU, but comes and does some services at your school, then it's going to list that. So ESU would be reporting your school building number for that person on their staff reporting. So this report should reflect it. You wouldn't be reporting them, but this report should be reflecting that the ESU is reporting this person for you, basically. And it will state that it will in the report, it will show like all your staff members, and then usually towards the back of the report, it will say ESU 10 and then have their staff members listed. Another report that we recommend for you to use is the teacher assigned out of endorsement area or level. And this basically verifies the course data, which is being taken from your non-public curriculum reporting and the Teach database. And it's going to match this up and say, okay, this person is endorsed or isn't endorsed. And if they're out of endorsed, they're going to show up on this report. So you want to make sure you look at this. And again, we put the link for the certification lookup. And this is not our area again. So we recommend that you contact NDE Accreditation, and they would be able to verify why this person's on the report or not, and answer any specific questions about their endorsement. So they would be, you can send it to us, but we will most likely just pass it on to accreditation. Okay, so that's the verification report. So that's the 3 steps that we recommend to do in the staff reporting section. And then we added a couple other applications that are dealing with staff that we thought we would discuss if there is additional time. I want to make sure that there is no other questions before I move into those specific applications.
This is Doug again with some questions. You know, for school like our size, when it comes to staying accredited with, you know, our 400 units and 60 units of language arts and that, is there a report that after I've put my curriculum report in that would show me how many units that we have per subject area? Because it seems like the only time I find out that is when we're being flagged for being under maybe. And I've yet, you know, I use a spreadsheet to calculate it, and then I'll get something from the ND saying that well, you don't have enough career ed units. And it shows, you know, 33.5 and
Sure.
is there any way to go in and find out what you're counting for us based off of what I've sent in to really know how many units you're saying we have? Because the only way I ever know is if there's something in question,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
I mean, I
Dako,
know
do you know? Do you know? Because I think they have an internal report that they run. I'm trying to think, Kim, do you know if there's something the schools can run? And that because it's coming out of the non-public
it's coming off of
curriculum
non-public
report.
curriculum. So I was taking a peek and seeing if I see anything, and I don't recall anything, and I'm not finding anything yet that's on the school side.
Doug, what school are you from?
Falls City Sacred Heart.
Falls City Sacred Heart. Okay.
It's a great question.
I appreciate you asking that question because we can pull your information up here, but I don't know if there is a way for you to see it on the school side. So let me check into that for you.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like maybe I made an error and coded a teacher with a wrong code.
Sure.
I don't know that unless I get flagged, basically, you know, to fix it.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. This is great conversation. I love it.
And then like we have to have 90% of our secondary teachers teaching in their endorsed area.
Mhm.
Is there a way to see what the percentage really ends up being by NDE calculations so that I know where we really are, how close I'm to that 90%, or in the elementary where it's got to be 80%? Or maybe it's the other way around, I guess. Yeah, it's 80% for the secondary.
Mhm.
Um, is there a way to pull up anything that tells me, uh, this teacher's teaching two subjects out of endorsement, but we're still at 93% or whatever?
That's another good question. That's another good question. I always wonder what the school side looks like when we're sending out information to schools. Um, so let me check. And I also wonder what school information system are you using?
We use Power School.
Power School. Okay, I'll take some time to look into that and see what I can find out for you.
Great, thank you.
Great questions. Great conversation. All right. Well, we have 10 minutes left, and I'm going to try to see if I can go through these applications. This district contact information is a new application that is in the new portal, and it has opened. And it basically it is not tied to staff reporting. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not pulling any data. So this is something that you have to go into, and you have to report various contact information for various staff members at each school. It is going to kind of roll over and just kind of be a flowing application, and so you will need to do annual updates on it in August. But it's going to be opened so that if you have principal changes, or if you have a curriculum director change, or whatever you have, it's going to be open that you can go in and make those changes. And then in August, you would verify that the contact information is accurate. And the idea behind this is that the NDE staff members will utilize this application, and they would be contacting the right person. Like, safety person is the person that comes to my head right now. If they need to talk to them about safety or things like that, or curriculum director or the superintendent or whatever, that they're just collecting all this data in one spot. What was happening is a lot of different departments were sending out different contact information spreadsheets or forms, and schools were doing it multiple times. So we're just trying to put it all in one spot and collect it in one spot for the various programs. And again, this is separate. It's not connected at all with the staff reporting collection. And then the next one that you might be getting is the teacher vacancy survey that needs to be completed. This is in the Legacy portal, and it usually opens and closes in October. And it just determines the teacher shortages, and they use that information for like teacher loan forgiveness. It just gives NDE some information on where the teacher status is and what's going on in the schools. And then, yeah, so those are the two things, the two that I want to talk. And then I just had the resources. And the resources that we wanted to point out were the NDE staff reporting website. And on there, it has a staff reporting guide. And it also has an NDE staff ID user guide that you can utilize. So if you are trying to create that staff ID and you're stuck, you could go out and you can use the guide. There is some screenshots in that. We also have the calendar that will show you staff reporting information on here. It's called the advisor calendar, but just go ahead and click on that. And then it has the staff reporting data right here. And it breaks down when those things are used. It also tells us the data usage. So if you're like, why do we have to do this? Well, here it tells you why. and what it's for. Then we have the certification lookup in several places in this presentation. If you're not signed up for the NDE bulletin, we recommend that you get signed up. Then there's the non-public system reporting guidance, which is a document that kind of goes over all this information. We have it here, and it goes over all the information that we kind of talked about today, has some more. But I just pulled out the staff reporting data and put it in this presentation. So I recommend, if you haven't reviewed that, to go out there and look at that. And then we do offer at least one NDE staff workday before October 31st. So if you want to utilize that next school year, we are just available to answer questions. That's when you can be very specific and say, I have this teacher, or I have this coach, they do this and this, how do I code them, which code do I use, and things like that. So you can be very specific, and we'll answer those questions and help you through it. So that's what we wanted to share. We had some great questions. And is there anything other questions that you would like to discuss quickly in the last 4 minutes? If not, I am just super appreciative of everybody that came today, especially Dako for joining us. It was a great conversation. I'm so glad he joined us and been part of our group today. Oh, and I should say that we will get the recording online as soon as we can. Kim, you can go ahead and stop recording since there's no questions at this moment.